Mauricio, is everything okay? She's not genuine in those moments, but when she looks at him, you can tell she has love in her eyes. So for whatever reason, she feels invested in that relationship and wants it to last. So, but they're in different places in life, because I think Dorit has slightly younger kids than Kyle. So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But Dorit would be a lot of fun if they ended up not working. I mean, God bless her. I hope it works out. But if not, she'd be hanging from the rafters, having a good time dating. They need a spinoff that's just rich women dating. I want to watch that. I want to see them go out on dates and roll their eyes and have their microphone and sort of sidebar us and tell us what they're really feeling.
And I think Dorit could get like really hot guys too.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd go younger. She could have a good time. That's the thing about her husband. He could go younger too. That's the thing about money. Everything's an option. You can buy anything at the store, and sometimes that includes people on shelves that are there for what you can do for them. So it's an exchange of energy with them, and everybody knows what's up. That's how I see Kyle and Morgan. It's an exchange of energy. It's a quid pro quo for the two of them. They're both getting publicity. Morgan became relevant, and Kyle became a storyline for once. Because without her sister Kathy and without Mauricio, she's not going to have a storyline. They would have to create another one. Maybe that's where Morgan comes in. Who knows?
You think Morgan's a storyline?
I don't think Morgan's as interesting as I think a lot of people who are mysterious and keep their mouth shut are actually just boring. And there's no real mystery there. And you find that out later. So I don't actually think Morgan's going to end up being somebody that is with Kyle as a life partner. I think she's there for now.
That makes sense. This is my final topic that I want to talk about, just out of curiosity. What do you think of, because, you know, Bethenny Frankel has her reality reckoning that she's trying. I always think of you in this because you're one of two cases that I think of when I think of false imprisonment, like your story about how they, you know, that's one of her besides. Yeah. And also she claims, you know, and I don't know where this reality reckoning is going to go. It's having ups and downs every other day, and it seems to be going nowhere at times, and then something happens. Sure. But when she says things like, you know, tons of hours applying people with alcohol, that's your story. You know, when you told me that they gave you that big martini glass, she says false imprisonment. She's heard multiple situations.
No, they take the cars away.
Well, yeah.
And I was on a cliff in Malibu. I couldn't get anywhere. They have you picked up and brought there. And I thought the car was going to be sitting out there waiting for me, but the car doesn't come back until the producers tell them they're ready. So that was my experience. And yeah, the martini glasses, they act like I brought that to the dinner party in my backpack or something. That's what they put on the table for everyone. Camille seemed like she was being so sweet. What do you want to drink at the party? She's like, I know you like those lavender lemon drops from the Polo Lounge. So they tried to make those. They missed the mark on that. But when you're stuck in a house with a bunch of women bitching at you in unison, I almost felt like a husband in that moment, with a worst case scenario woman who wouldn't leave them alone and just kept yelling at them. They just kept at me, and I was like, well, fuck all y'all, because I'll just drink my cocktail and vape. And that's when I pulled out the vape. I just didn't care anymore. I've been there 4 hours. I was there 4 hours. I was told I was going to a girls' night. It was like a Saturday. It's a girls' night. So and it was a pizza party, and to dress casual. I was totally set up, but whatever. But aside from that, it was annoying to be in that moment. I've never been sort of trapped somewhere where I'm stuck, and I didn't even, I mean, the car came and picked me up. I didn't even have the address. Like, you couldn't really back then call
There
a
was no
Lyft.
Ubers, yeah.
So, and especially where she lives is like up this like winding road up a hill, like back in the distance. I mean, it wasn't anywhere that you could easily find. So all I could do was enjoy myself in the moment. And like I said, then at that point, I just didn't care. And I look back, I don't regret what I said to those women. I actually regret not saying more. So I wasn't happy. It benefited all of them. It benefited me not at all. And it was the most nauseating dinner of my life. And I've never had a dinner that went even close to what that was. They're
It was
actually,
like what, like
they're
10
fine.
hours, 5 hours?
It was a 4-hour dinner, 4 hours. And they were going to shut it down like 3 hours in because they weren't getting anything. And then the fireworks hit. What a surprise. But once somebody pushes and prods so much at you, eventually you're going to defend yourself and say something. So I said something. And yeah, it was like being at a table with a bunch of mean girls. Everybody's like, don't be a bully now. Like the whole, you know, everything with bullies. And I agree, that's terrible, but they're okay when women do it on reality shows. I don't get that. It's like, they weren't the cute mean girls like in the movie. They were the mean girls that were there for a paycheck. And I was just invited to be sort of the bait and that storyline that night. So I was there for Camille. I'll never be blind to a friend again. I haven't since. And it spoke volumes to me about Camille. And those women are nobody. I don't care who they are. I don't care how many fans they have or how popular they are. They were bitches. And if any woman out there was in my shoes, they could say, oh, I wouldn't have reacted like that. Well, you don't know. You weren't there. You'd have to be there. And how many hours do you let people yell at you before you finally push back? So I did what I did. I'm not sorry.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if this next alleged dinner party from hell that we have coming up is gonna. You and I are skeptical.
I just don't see how it's going to be as organic as the one that I was at. Not saying that somebody couldn't be the fuel that I was at that dinner. But I am saying that's a lot to ask. I mean, they all know it's called the dinner party from hell, yet they're all going.